Then happened on my 15th birthday that basically changed my entire life. Serious beat up, beating me up basically like I was a thief. I lost my eye. It was a very traumatic experience. It made me realize that I wasn't invisible. I was always the guy that always had crazy ideas. A lot of teachers thought I was crazy. The principal of the school, he said, "This boy, too ambitious. That's not how the world works." I was at home for a long time. I built so many stuff. I failed a whole lot. It was also one of the darkest periods of my life. I actually attempted suicide. I was incredibly depressed. Mom was really concerned. She thought I was going to run mad. With a half scholarship, the other half, we could not still afford it. I was like, "See, guys, I am broke." I needed it to work. And it was along this line that I had the first idea for class. We discovered that creators are absolute shit in teaching.
Hi there, you're welcome to another episode of Founders Connect. Here I have amazing conversations with entrepreneurs and senior operators in the African tech ecosystem. On today's episode, I'm having a conversation with Nathan Nwachuku. He's the co-founder and CEO of Klas.
Hi there, my name is PC Timmy and welcome to Founders Connect, a show where I spotlight the best of African innovation by hosting conversations with leading and emerging founders and operators in the African tech space. The goal is to discover their stories, learn their ideologies, the obstacles they overcame, the lessons they learned along the way, and very importantly, to document their journeys. Do like and comment on this video as you watch it, and please subscribe to my channel. I promise there's always something fantastic to learn here. Enjoy the video.
Hi Nathan.
Hi, peace.
How you doing?
Really good. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you here. You know, I'm a fan of Klas since the first time we talked about it. So I'm going to learn more about it. But first of all, let's talk about you. Tell me about your background. Where did you grow up? What was growing up like? What was family like? Do you have siblings? Favorite childhood memory? Just give me as much of your first 15 years as you can.
Yeah. So I grew up in Port Harcourt. It's a family of two, single mom, and very middle class. A very normal family. My first years, basically growing up, I was a very ambitious and eccentric child. Got into a lot of trouble because of that. But I always wanted to do something different. It's something that's been bugging me all my life, basically.
Do you know where that comes from?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, every time I think about it, I have different memories of when it exactly started. At some point, I think it started when I first read a book on physics. At some other point, I think it started when I first watched the movie Iron Man. So I'm not really sure when it started, but I know it gets stronger every year, So growing up, I was very restless. I played a lot and all that. And that was up until when I was 15, At 15, an incident happened on my 15th birthday that basically changed my entire life trajectory, I lost my eye.
Oh.
Yeah, so on my 15th birthday.
How did that happen?
So in boarding schools, when you're on your birthdays, they basically, in most boarding schools, pour water, all that. Mm-hmm. In my school, they basically beat you up. And it's not like it's a play beating, like serious beat up, and all that. And so on in my own case, I was using a bucket to shield my face, to protect any sort of injuries on my face. They were throwing shoes, sandals, using belts, beating me up basically like I was a thief, And one of my closest friends, he threw a sandal. It's called the Caterpillar, very heavy. And he threw it at the base of the bucket. So to understand the context of what happened, you need to understand basically how this scene looked like. The bucket was basically slanted at a 60-degree angle. The base of the bucket was facing them at an upwards angle. And when the caterpillar sandal hit the base, a piece went straight into my head. And it was lodged in there, for a while. So it was a very traumatic experience. It all happened so fast that I didn't even know what happened. I remember everyone just froze and started screaming. I went to the hospital, blacked out, and I woke up a few hours to see my mom crying and my sister just looking all quiet, And ever since that moment, everything basically changed for me. It made me realize that I wasn't invisible. It made me also realize that, I could die any moment, and it built up this intense sense of purpose and urgency that I had never really felt before. And to be honest, that was the single event that basically made me to be where I am today. Like,
So you can't see in your right eye, like completely.
yeah, it's complete darkness. The eye is gone. I've been like this now for the past 5 years.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so that is I don't know, it sounds like it's a memory or an experience that has like really good fruits.
Yeah.
But in some sense, it's actually a bad memory. Is there a nice childhood memory that you remember?
Yeah, I do have a lot of more bad ones than good ones, but yeah, but in terms of a good childhood memory, I think that would have been the first project I ever built. Um, this was, I think I was 13 around this time. In school, I was always the guy that always had crazy ideas. I once made my school spend up to 1 million in getting materials so that I could build a replica Iron Man suit.
Really?
I mobilized like 30 people from 30 other students from the school. It was a really fun project, you know. So I think the first ever project we did, it was meant to be an electric bell system, because the school was still using kind of like just normal ringing of bell, So we attempted to build an electric bell system. I got like 6 of my other friends, within the school. At this time, I was in just 2 or just 3, and we're actually able to build that and install it in the school. Till today, it's still there. The school still uses our electric bell system. Graceland, and it was very exciting, basically. Because that was the first time that I realized that you could build something and it could work, and that fulfillment I felt, it stayed with me, and of course the ideas got a lot crazier over time.
Okay, tell me about some of your other crazy ideas, and particularly between that 15 when you lost your eye and then you met next 5 years, what's that trajectory like?
Yeah, so for the first question, so the other crazy ideas, I all failed in those ones, but the experience was amazing. After that, we attempted to build an electric automated lawnmower, but of course, at this time, I was 14. I didn't really have much experience in actual electronics, but it was another project that the school again supported, Then
the school had a thing for supporting science students and just building stuff.
Not really. The school director's son, he just liked me a lot. Yeah, he just liked me a lot. So a lot of teachers thought I was crazy. I will never forget that the principal of the school, there was something he said to me that till today, it still stays with me.
What was that?
He said that this boy, you're too ambitious. That's not how the world works. So they didn't really like a lot of what I was doing, but the director's son really liked me. So yeah, I also had the research paper published when I was actually 14 going to 15.
On what?
It was it was on trying to basically prove that you could prove that gravity exists in a quantum state. I had an entire equation for that, and I actually presented it to the entire school when I remember on a Friday afternoon to over 300, 400 students. It was mixed reactions. Some people were like, "Wow, this is amazing." Other people were like, "Get the hell out of the stage." Yeah. So yeah, those were some of the stuff I did in secondary school.
So what happened after secondary school?
I was at home for a long time.
Why? And how long is a long time?
2.5 years.
Oh, okay, that's a long time.
Yeah, I was at home for quite a while. So after the whole eye accidents, when I came back, I had already missed six months of school. And I went just straight into SS3, basically, writing all sorts of exams and all that. So after all those exams, I was meant to actually go to Carleton. I had a scholarship to study software engineering there. It was a half scholarship, but it was really exciting. Also had another admission to AFE for mechatronics engineering. I turned the AFE one down. The Carleton, I deferred it for 1 year because the pandemic hit.
Right.
2020 pandemic hit. So during that 1 year, I decided, okay, I'm just going to play around with different projects. I built so many stuff. Some of them worked, some didn't work. One of the first projects I ever tried doing was a social network called Blabber. It was meant to be like if you take betting and the social media and combined it together. It was really popular with college students. We had 25,000 users, and
In Port Harcourt?
yeah, in Port Harcourt, and I shut it down after 2 months because I didn't know how to monetize. At this time, I think I was 17. I didn't, but it was a nice experience. So after that, just did so many other things, worked with a lot of non-profits, and yeah, I was at home. But during this period, it was also one of the darkest periods of my life because I was incredibly depressed. I was going to, because all my mates were going to school and all that kind of stuff, and I knew that even after this pandemic, I wouldn't be able to go.
Why?
I don't come from, a quote-unquote rich family. With a half scholarship, the other half, we couldn't still afford it. So it was a thing of, I knew that, this pandemic is merely an excuse. Pandemic or not, I wouldn't have still been able to go anywhere. So it was more of like all these projects, in one way it was because I was passionate, in another way because I was desperate. I needed it to work so that I'm not like just
dependent on school.
Yeah, just wandering around and stranded, basically. So it was a very depressing period for me. And by the end of 2020, when some people were now going back to school, just as I predicted, I couldn't go back, because the fees were in the millions, like even the fees I was still meant to pay were in the millions. So that was when I officially dropped out. Turned down everything, and I decided, okay, I'm going to use 2021 to basically go a lot deeper, into what I'm doing. Just give it one last push. At this period, I was very antisocial. I didn't have any friends again, no parties. I basically stopped going to everything. I didn't even go to church for a few months. I just locked myself in my room and was doing all this. My mom was really concerned. She thought I was going to run mad. She was quite concerned. Actually, even wanted to being a psychiatric doctor.
And you didn't want to study in the Nigerian university?
No, because I knew, it wouldn't. What I was really looking to achieve to a Nigerian university, like I can't study robotics. Like even the physics, there's a limit to how far I can go in that. I wanted to always do pure research. Nigerian university are not good in research, and so I knew it would also be a waste of time if I did that. So it was basically I was stuck in this limbo state, and it was along this line that I had the first idea for the very first iteration of Klas. At this period, it was called LP's Academy. LP's Academy, yeah, and the idea basically was to build a platform for blind and visually impaired people. Because I am blind myself. So that was the idea. It was meant to be fully voice assisted. There's literally no UI to it. It's all voice, and it was AI powered too. So I started working on this, and this was when I found the first ever investor, or the first person that believed in me with hard cash. His name was Hans Wiberg. He's a Danish founder, the founder of Be My Eyes, the largest online community for blind and visually impaired people. They have like over 7 million users right now, And I remember we found ourselves through LinkedIn. I told him about what I was building, I remember that was on Saturday. I told him in the morning, by the night, he wired $1,000.
Wow.
At this point, I couldn't believe. I remember running around the house screaming. I was so excited. I was so excited. And the crazy thing was that he wired this without asking for any more information. Just one call was enough. It was really amazing, because funny story, when he even went to the bank to actually wire the money, and he told them that he's wiring to a Nigerian.
Right.
The bank was like, "Are you sure about that? How much do you know this guy?" And he still vouched that no, that this is someone that this is an investment, that this is someone that is going to do something great. And it was, he knew me for literally just hours, you know. So I couldn't believe my luck in that moment, and I used that money first of all to actually incorporate the company, and to actually get one more person. About two other people that will start working with me, two engineers, you know, that will also join me in actually building out the platform. Now, I don't know how, but I was able to convince them to just, you know, I was like, see, guys, I am broke, you know, but can you just help get started for like, because I treated this $1,000 like it was going to be my last. I was never going to get funding again. So I needed to manage this well. And I ended up managing that for like 8 months.
$1,000?
$1,000 for 8 months.
That's less than a million naira.
Huh?
That's like less than a million.
Yeah, it was less than $1 million. I managed that money so well because me personally, I wasn't taking any salary. Then the other two guys, I convinced them that they can just be on like 50K salary per month. You know, and I total like they really believed in the vision. You know, I gave them some shares, and till today they're actually still part of the company. Both of them now, one is the head of design, the other one is the head of engineering. You know, so it's been a long journey for them, yeah. And that was basically how that journey went. So sometime late 2021, you know, that was now where I met my co-founder, Lekan. I met him on a YC co-founded matching platform. It's basically Tinder for co-founders. And he was my very first swipe. Yeah, I just saw him, I saw his experience, I was like, yeah, it was just a gut feeling, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
why did you decide that you wanted a co-founder?
I knew that, you know, even with everything I know, you know, even with the engineering knowledge I know, I don't have experience. I needed somebody with a lot of experience, you know, because there's a huge difference between a 2-year engineer and a 10-year engineer. You know, there are some things that you can't learn in any book. You can't learn in any from any coding course or whatever. You can only learn from actually getting your hands dirty and from mistakes you made in your past. You know, so I needed somebody with that sort of experience, because what we're going to build, I don't know if there can be room for major mistakes. You know, I didn't want to take that sort of risk. So that's why I needed a co-founder. And when Lekan came in, he has over 10 years of experience, super smart guy, you know, and we just shared an aligned vision for what we want the future of the upskilling economy to look like. So it was an instant click, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, how's the relationship going so far? So I know that in terms of work experience, you guys have a gap. In terms of like age, you guys have a gap. How are you guys navigating it?
Yeah. In terms of age, he's older than me with 10 years, you know. Yeah, but we navigated quite well because me, myself, you know, I'm an old man stuck in a young person body, so.
True.
You know, so we you know, we are like brothers, basically. We have actually just met ourselves 3 times in the past, you know, 1.5 years.
How long did you guys work together before you met the first time?
Before we met the first time, I think we worked for like 4 months. Then we now met for the very first time on his wedding day.
Oh.
Yeah, he invited me to his wedding, even put me on the high table. I was like, wow. You know, that was the very first time we met. The second time we met was with Techstars. And the third time we met was actually sometime this year when he came to Lagos to get something. So he just stayed in my house for a night. Yeah.
That makes sense. So you're talking about the working relationship, that you guys are like brothers. Has there been like any challenges? Is getting a co-founder what you expected it to be?
Exactly. Yeah, it was really what I expected it to be. You know, I know there's
no shocks.
Yeah, no shocks. Yeah, I know there are always, you know. I think the best co-founders are those that are not your friends. You know, it's counterintuitive, you know, but you know, if me and Lekan were close friends, it may not have worked as much as it's working now. You know, now we are friends now, but we didn't start out as friends. We started out as professional colleagues. Then we became friends along the way. I think that is a better way to go about it than starting out as friends, then going to become professional colleagues. You wouldn't truly take the other person serious, you know, like in as much as you would say you would, subconsciously, it wouldn't just be the same. So I think that really, you know, we have a lot of mutual respect for each other. We respect our own roles, our responsibilities. We understand each other. Like there are a lot of times where we're making decisions and we just smile. Like we just know which one we're going to go with, even without even talking. You know, it's a very special kind of relationship that I have with Lekan.
Okay. So as I get it, Lekon, as your co-founder, what are the other milestones that you've been really proud of with Class? And then how the Class also then evolved from the one for the blind, for blind people, to what it is today?
Yeah. So sometime before I got Lekan for my co-founder, that was in August of 2021, I decided that, okay, I want to just make this for everyone, you know, because first of all, you know, the AI technologies needed to make a full-blown learning platform for blind and visually impaired people wasn't yet ready. You know, this was before the time of GPT and all that. So we needed to kind of make that pivot, serve everyone first, you know. Then I still have plans to actually build that, but this time around we'll be building it in partnership with Be My Eyes. So there will be a distribution to a lot of people.
And he's an investor in Class.
Yeah. So yeah, that was when I made that switch basically, and I think it was one of the best switches that we have made.
Why?
Well, because first of all, it was a really good business decision. You know, like the technology wasn't ready at the time for what we're trying to build. So I think now, you know, with all the advancements in AI, the technology is ready, and we do intend to actually build that, you know, sometime early next year.
Yeah, makes sense. What other milestones are you proud of with Class?
Our very first official round. So we actually raised a 180K round sometime early last year. That was in April actually, and it was an angel round. You know, we got some big names, you know, like Odun from Piggyvest, the co-founder of Jumia, and a lot of VCs, you know, even Vault One Capital. So that was a really big one, because that was just the month before my 19th birthday. And I remember doing all that fundraising from my bedroom in my mom's house, you know, sweating. Sometimes I just wear shirts with them tying towels down, you know, rushing out of shower to have meetings and all that, you know, trying to get the right lighting, because there wasn't always light, you know, and all that. It was very, like, thinking about it now, it's just so funny. But back then I was so scared.
You're hustling.
I was hustling, you know. And when it happened, it was really a sigh of relief. Like, okay, now now I have everything I need to make this work. You know, like, that was really enough. If we had never raised again, that was enough for me. You know. So after that, you know, I came down here to Lagos, and it's been really great so far, you know. So I think after that, after like 4 months again, sometime in August, we got into Techstars, Techstars Toronto. That is another really big milestone for us. And how we got in was really funny. So we never actually applied to Techstars. It was through a referral. So Folake, the CEO of Emergency Response Africa, she called me one day and was like, Alicia, the head of investment at Techstars, is coming over to Lagos for, I think it's a summit or so, for just about 3 days, that you need to have a discussion with her. So she did the intro to Alicia, and Alicia kind of scheduled like a 25 minutes meeting at a restaurant in VI, you know, and I rushed down there. We had, it ended up becoming a 1 hour meeting. You know, and after everything, the presentation, you know, I presented our deck, I presented the platform itself, you know, talked about everything that the business has been going through. The very next Monday, when she was back in Toronto, we had a proper actual interview call, you know, with the entire Techstars team, then had like 2 more other meetings before they let us, they kind of admitted us into that cohort, you know, and that was another big moment, you know. I was so excited, just the same way I was excited when I got the first round. That it was that level of excitement, you know. And it brought our entire round to 300K, you know. So yeah, that was a really big moment. And outside of that is some other more company milestones, you know. When we hit 50,000 users, that was exciting, you know. late last year when we hit 100,000. That was also really exciting for us. And as of recent, another big milestone would be announced very soon, which is the next fundraise that we're about to close out.
How much are you closing? Don't worry, we'll use this interview after you announce.
Yeah. So we are just closing around 700. Yeah.
And this will be your seed round.
This is pre-seed.
This is still pre-seed.
Still
so
pre-seed.
like a pre-seed extension of the first one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, this is kind of like a pre-seed extension of the first one. So it's really exciting, really, because now this kind of gives us the fuel needed for us to take it to that next level, for us to take it all the way to. I'm hoping by this time next year we're at 1 million users.
That's a
Globally.
10x.
10x, yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. So what else are you up to aside Klas these days?
So I was an investor at a drone company that got acquired a few months ago, literally just about 3 to 4 months ago. So they build surveillance drones for the military, Special Nova. So when the guy actually first approached me sometime last year, I was 19, he was 20, and he was so similar. Like even the way the call went, it just reminded me of myself. To be very honest, I didn't truly think anything was going to come out of there, because I was like drones in Nigeria, but I didn't really truly think anything was going to come out of there. But I just did a really small angel check, and literally a few months later, this year, he told me that they have been acquired by Nord Automobiles, one of the largest automobile makers in Africa.
Wow.
And they are now kind of supplying surveillance drones for the military. I was like, holy shit. I was really, really, really impressed. So, and that's my first ever investment, I intend to go fully into investment from next year. I actually want to have like a proper angel fund and all that. But yeah, so after that, me and the founder of Special Nova, that is Max, we started to talk around, what next, what can we do next? And we kind of honed in on the idea of building bionics for disabled people. So we both started a robotics company called Haptics. It's basically we develop affordable bionics for the disabled in Africa. We're starting full production from next month. We're kind of opening a huge production facility here in Yaba, and we're also going to be announcing a round in a few weeks. This is going to make us the first VC-funded robotics company from Africa.
That's amazing. So you're doing two big things: building
Yeah.
a robotics company and trying to get 1 million users to Klas. What time do you have for yourself?
I mean, I don't really have that much time. I don't really do much myself, when I'm not working. I love to game. In fact, I'm actually a Twitch streamer. I'm not giving you the Twitch user. But I do love to game a lot, I have a podcast that I run. Though for Klas, I want to make it more of an independent podcast, where I'm interviewing other Gen Zs, that are just doing crazy stuff. It's something I really enjoy doing. I love talking to people around my age that are doing amazing things.
Yeah, that makes sense. What are the key lessons that you've learned? So when you see other young people who are coming up, someone is like 16 or 17, they have the same zeal.
Yeah.
What are the top 2 things that you would tell them about just?
I think it's not to overthink it. It's not as hard as we always imagine. Like it is very difficult, but it's not as impossible as we imagine. It's really not to overthink it. Like sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith. Just jump headfirst into some opportunities and see what comes out of it. Like at this moment when we are young, there's no family. I mean, our own family. Most of us are not in any relationships. There is no commitment. Like there is no reason why we should be scared of taking risks. And because of that, it's one of the things that has really helped me. The second thing is that I tell them to have, I call it positive arrogance. It's just something I created 2 years ago. So, like in society, being arrogant is always seen as a bad thing. You have to be humble and all that. But there's something I call positive arrogance. Is where you are outwardly humble, which means you don't look down on people, but inwardly you're very arrogant,
You know that
very
you can do whatever
egoistic.
it is.
You can, is that feeling of you can do anything and you will do well in it. You can succeed in anything. It gives you a level of confidence where you can jump in headfirst into anything. There's no self-doubt and all that. So it's something that you actually have to intentionally build up. So I am a very humble person. I don't ever look down on anybody, but I'm one of the most egoistic people you could imagine inwardly, which means that I'm never scared of trying something new or taking that leap, because I'm just 20. I have nothing to lose.
True.
I have nothing to lose.
And so much time to learn and just iterate.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there anything that you do differently in the last 2 years of building Klas? If you were to go back to 2020 and you're like, oh, this is what my 2023 would be like, but I can do something differently, what would you do differently?
I think firing faster.
Really?
Yeah. Because I was the youngest person in the company.
Are you still the youngest person in the company?
No. We have a girl that's, I think she's 18. She's in the cybersecurity team.
Nice.
Yeah. But I'm the second. Yeah. So because I was the youngest person in the company, I was always hesitant of firing. I loved giving people a lot of chances. Sometimes way too many than they actually deserve, especially when it starts hurting the company. It's something that I think sometimes they have to be, like knowing when to be emotional and knowing when to be logical is really important as a CEO. And I think the first few months I was very emotional. I was thinking more about, I don't want to hurt their feelings rather than I don't want to hurt the business, So firing faster is something I would have done. Like today, I usually give people 2 chances. Like 2 in terms of big mess ups. I usually give people 2 chances, basically, And once it starts to hurt the business, that's it. Yeah. So I'm a lot more logical now than emotional than I was before.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there any other thing you do aside firing fast?
Yeah, we would have probably gone away from creators earlier.
Oh, have you moved away from creators?
Yeah, we have moved away from the traditional creators, I'm quote unquote, basically. So one thing we discovered in the first 6 months is that creators are absolute shit in teaching. Just because they have like a lot of followers, on IG, Twitter and all that, doesn't mean they are good trainers. Doesn't mean they have anything to actually train about. Most times the best trainers are just the subject matter professionals. These people working at Paystack, working at Stripe, Google. These are the best trainers because they have the experience, they have the knowledge, and they are people like this. They are always willing to share. It's almost like, first of all, a way of sharing impacts, and second of all, is a really good ego jump for them. So we discovered that now we focus more on experts, professionals rather than creators, and that has been really great for us. But now the new challenge that this brought is that these people may not have the large following. So because of that, now we have introduced a marketplace to Klas. Because we already have a large enough existing student base and also a quite recognizable brand name where a marketplace.
So you have subject matter experts to have good users. So now it's making sure that the experts are able to actually monetize
it.
So
exactly.
people can find it.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Exactly. And I think the last thing was becoming multi-channel faster. When we started Klas, we focused mainly on live classes. So everything in Klas is built in-house. We don't use Zoom, Jimmy or anything. We actually built our own virtual classroom software from scratch. And we even have a patent pending for a new sort of video optimization system. So when we started Klas, I think we wish, I was very naive. My assumption basically for going with live classes was that live classes is the best and only way to teach.
I remember that was your pitch when we talked.
Yeah, that was my pitch. I was so confident in that why would you want to waste days and weeks with courses? Why would you want to waste weeks and even some months writing an ebook when a live class, you can just plan for it, you teach it once, it's recorded, you can resell that recording, you know. To me, it didn't make sense, but what I didn't really look at was the flexibility of different people. Some people don't like showing up, you know, on camera. You know, they don't have that camera presence. They don't like teaching live classes. Others are really good at writing. They love the ebooks. Like this is what they enjoy. It's not about convenient or not. Others really love courses. You know, the whole act of preparing a course. So I didn't really look at it from that perspective, but with more users talking about that, we decided, okay, why don't we just become multi-channel? And we built the ebook channel and the courses channel. Now you can teach on class in any format, you know, through live classes, courses, and ebooks.
What does ebooks teaching look like? Do you mean writing an ebook and then hosting it to sell?
Yeah. Like you can write an ebook. We have an actual ebook software there. You host it there, and everything is within the Klas ecosystem. So
right, so like an EPUB where you can interact with.
You can interact with the ebook and all that. Yeah,
that makes sense. What are you looking forward to the most, say, in the next 5 years of building Klas?
Well, us becoming a $1 billion company. But yeah, I think we are going to be adopting more emerging technologies. You know, AI and AR, especially AR. I see the next phase of, you know, when you look through over the last years, you know, at first we started with MOOCs. You know, that was the time of Udemy and the rest. We went into more of, would I say, social learning, you know, with YouTube and all that. Now we are kind of entering an era of live cohort learning, you know, which is what we're currently leveraging. We are leveraging on that trend. I see the next trend that would come up to be AI-powered learning and AR-powered learning, you know, where what you're learning, imagine you're learning about history, you know, World War II, and you could literally impute yourself in the actual scene, you know, you see it happening. You know, like this is going to be the next phase of learning. It's going to be way more immersive, a lot more interactive, you know, and a lot more fun, basically. So I think this is something that we want to actually start doing at Klas. You know, we're currently doing an AI research at Klas, you know, to actually build in AI systems. And from next year, we want to integrate more, launch more tools around this new trend that I think would pop off very soon, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Final question. One thing that you don't want people to forget when they hear your story, that you want them to always remember from learning about your story, what would that be? One thing.
Relentless.
Explain.
You know, I think throughout my story, I'm not, you know, there's always this hype going around that, you know, I'm one sort of genius, you know, I did it overnight and all that. That is not truly, you know, it's very easy for me to come here now and paint myself as that, you know. But I think that is really not going to do service to anybody that needs to hear the true story, basically. Needs to hear that it wasn't that anything happened overnight, you know, it was just that I was relentless, you know, and I failed a lot. I mean, I failed a whole lot. And, you know, going on the very sensitive side, it got so bad when I think around 14, 15, I actually attempted suicide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you know, this is something that normally people hide this part of their story, you know, but I want to tell this because I know a lot of people, young people are going through a lot of dark things, you know, and that was how bad it was for me. But I decided that, you know what, I'm just going to keep going. And I kept going and going until one finally had a breakthrough. And
that 1K?
Yeah, just that one, you know. And ever since that moment, it has been uphill, you know. So I think, yeah, that is one thing. I think is just to keep going. Like, no matter how bad it gets, it can't be bad forever, you know. And never, under any circumstances, should anyone also get suicidal, because when you kill yourself, you know, it is bad forever. Like, that is just what your life, that's it, you know. But it always gets better.
Yeah,
you know, it always gets better.
There's something that you said that actually stuck me. When you said that between when you went the period when you were at home before like getting into school, I started building a lot of stuff, and one half of it was for the passion of it, but the other half was desperation.
It was a desperation, you
something
know.
must work.
I needed to make something work because this is the only thing I was good at, and I knew that if not for like outside of this, there's nothing else I can do. You know, school for now wasn't a reality, so this was something that I just had to make work.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's been so nice to hear a story. I mean, we talked about class before and hearing about, but like learning about you and how you've thought about life and like how much work you've had to do to kind of get to where you were and to where you are right now. I think that's very inspiring. So thank you so much for sharing your story with me.
Thanks a lot, Peace. I watch these videos all the time, so it's really exciting to be here.
Look at that. Thank you. And guys, thank you so much for watching this video to the end. I'll see you in another episode. Subscribe. Peace out.
Bye.